Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And some of you probably thought about starting your very own sports podcast. Well, let me help you out. I want to tell you a little bit about Anchor. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's an easy way to make a podcast, and it's free. You don't have to worry about paying a bunch of money each month. There are creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So it can be heard on apps like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So go to anchorfm.com and start your very own podcast today. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast. And I have a special guest with me. He's very unfamiliar to the show. My big brother, Mr. EJ Jones. What's going on, E?
What's up, man? How you doing? What's up, people out there? Who Dat Nation, what's up?
Man, we doing just fine, man. Thank you for your time once again, man. You ready to talk about some Saints?
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Subject.
I mean, there's so much we can talk about, man. I mean, we're about a week and some days moved from the NFL draft, and you have a lot of people out there that were kind of excited about, some of the Saints picks. Some of them raised the eyebrow. But nevertheless, I mean, we're a week removed. Everybody has time to adjust. The Saints, making some moves. One move in particular that everybody's been talking about was the signing of Jameis Winston. Now, I talked about this a couple days ago. I gave my take on Jameis Winston. E, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the Saints signing Jameis Winston?
Yeah, I think he's a veteran. I think he could, bring a certain veteran leadership to the actual team to sound like a coach. But in reality, I think this is more about him than it is about the actual team.
Right.
I think he has to learn how to be a true professional. What is dude, like 26, 27 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong.
26,
but I think
26.
this is more, I think this is more about him developing. He's seen exactly what they did for Teddy Bridgewater last year. And I'm thinking that they can probably do the same for him. That's what he's thinking, in my opinion. That's what I see here.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think that he's an incredible quarterback. I just think that he just turns the ball over at an alarming rate. I think we both can agree with that. You've been watching Jameis Winston since Florida State. I mean, this guy's always had turnover problems. And I said on the video, I feel like he always had these issues, but he was just so talented to a point where coaches didn't tell him about these turnovers. I think the coaches kind of used him to elevate their own careers and didn't really tell him about, the mistakes that he's making and stuff. They were so focused on, keeping him at his morale high and not trying to, interfere with the way that he, played the game of football. But now, you're older, you've been in the league 5 years, and you're still turning the ball over. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. No matter how talented you are, you can't turn the ball over. But I do want to ask you this. This next question is, where do you see Jameis Winston? Do you think that this is a short-term situation, or could this possibly be a long-term solution to the Saints' future quarterback issues?
I mean, I think it's I say 2 to 3 years. 2 years being the most, I think, reasonable. I don't see him being a backup quarterback for too long. Yeah. Like I said, dude, 26 years old.
Right.
A lot of people might still see him as a valuable quarterback, especially if he has the opportunity to play because of the injury.
Right.
But I think they got him to compete with Hill for the starting job or whatever, potentially after this year. Now, if he beats out Taysom Hill, I mean, then you'll maybe have something or whatever, because the crazy thing about it is Taysom has only played like a few games, but he's never started as actual quarterback.
Right.
And he's 30 years old.
Right.
Jameis Winston has been a starter for the last 3 or 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he's 26.
Right.
That's kind of a precarious situation to be in.
Absolutely.
But I do think Jameis Winston, he's looking to start again in this league. I mean, this dude, I don't think he even scratched the surface of his potential.
Right.
He's just careless with the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think he's dyslexic. If that makes a difference in throwing 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns in the same season, that's going to remain to be seen. I'm sure he's banking on cutting down his interceptions.
Right. I agree, man. You know, you don't throw for 5,000 yards and be trash, no matter if you're turning the ball over or not. This is a guy, is a tale of two quarterbacks. You don't know what you're going to get. You know, I made a joke. I said, you know, Forrest Gump said his mama told him life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, I feel like Jameis Winston is like that box of chocolates because you never know what you're going to get from Sunday to Sunday watching him play, man. He might go out there, throw 4 touchdowns one week, and then throw 4 interceptions the other week. So it's you know, it's weird, like how erratic his quarterback play is. But I think the way the Saints actually play the game, I think it would be beneficial to him. Bruce Arians is more of a guy who wants you to hit with the 7-step drops, bombs away type. We all know the Saints aren't like that. The Saints are about those intermediate throws. You know, like they're not trying to throw the ball way down the field. There's very little deep balls in the offensive playbook of the New Orleans Saints. It's mostly about timing and rhythm. So I feel like it'll be beneficial to him for a guy that is not worried so much about making a play. It's about making a play, not the play. You know, like the Saints are okay with just getting 5 yards here, 4 yards there. They're okay with that because, you know, that's just the way that they play. You can say it's because of Drew Brees' arm strength or lack thereof these days, but the way that the Saints play, I feel like it would be beneficial to Jameis Winston. And to be honest with you, man, I don't feel like this is going to be one of those situations where it's just Jameis Winston for 1 year. I feel like the Saints probably say if you come up in here and you play well, there'll probably be a job for you in the future. The same way I feel about with Teddy Bridgewater. You know, I feel like Teddy Bridgewater was supposed to be the next Saints starting quarterback, but it didn't happen that way. You know, I think the reason why is because Drew Brees got hurt and he had an opportunity to play. I feel like the Saints were just trying to hide him out until Drew Brees retired, and then they were going to unleash him. But it didn't happen that way. The NFL and other GMs across the NFL actually saw him play, and that made him valuable to the Carolina Panthers and other teams. So I think if Jameis Winston kind of hides out on the bench and gets better through practice and everything like that, I feel like he could have a possibility of being the Saints' future starting quarterback. But Jameis Winston, I don't know if you've seen the interviewee, but he talked to the media. He was talking a little bit about him coming into the locker room. I mean, he was saying all the right things. And I think a lot of people can admit that he does have certain leadership qualities, but just the turnovers is a huge issue. But I think that the Saints will be the team to get him back on track. I mean, so that's my honest opinion on that. Well, we can go ahead and move on, man. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about Drew Brees. We were talking, we were talking off the air, and we were talking a little bit about someone that did some kind of evaluation. And what this person did was he evaluated all 32 teams based on position and what their top positions were. And for the New Orleans Saints, it was no surprise that one was the offensive line, and number 2 was the quarterback. So this is what the NFL thinks is the Saints' top positions. So, I heard that you got into a little bit of a war of words on social media about your stance on Drew Brees. So would you mind telling the viewers what that was about and what that experience was for you?
I think ESPN had, you was talking about like images. Mm-hmm. So basically, by every position, they had which team and their logos was the best at this position.
Right.
So they had quarterback, Saints, offensive line, Saints, linebackers were the Steelers, mm-hmm. Cornerback was the Ravens, kicker was the Ravens, punter was the Rams, things like that. Mm-hmm. Wide receivers was the Cowboys.
Right.
So I commented, the dude commented, I'm like, man, the Saints don't have the best quarterback I mean, they really don't. Now that at this point in Drew Brees' career, I mean, I know a lot of people gonna get mad at me, but he is
Wait a
not the
minute
best
now. Hold up,
quarterback.
wait a minute. I want the listeners to hear you out, and so you can be very, very clear about this. You're saying that Drew Brees is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Am I correct?
I'm saying Drew Brees from Austin, Texas, who played at Purdue, who's been the same quarterback since '06. It's not the best quarterback in the league no more. He's not. He's up there with the upper echelon quarterback, but he is not numero uno anymore in the NFL. He is not. Not at this point. Not after that playoff game. Yeah, the stats are all nice and everything, but he is not the best quarterback in the league. I think he's the best quarterback for the Saints. I think for Drew Brees to be a good quarterback, he don't have to be the quarterback that he used to be, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Basically, he don't have to sit back there like he's at Purdue when he first with the Saints throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a game.
Right.
I told the dude on Facebook that for Drew Brees to be a good quarterback, 20, 25 passes,
right,
a good running game, a good offensive line. That's how Drew Brees could be the best player in the NFL if they stuck him to that. But he's out of his depth now at 40 years old to be throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a game. I don't think that's not a strong suit anymore. It's not.
Right. Well, you know, that sounds like something that's very controversial. We all know that the Who Dat Nation, a lot of people can't see past Drew Brees' imperfections. You know, they just see him as a quarterback that is just holier than thou, the closest thing since Jesus Christ. But, you know, in reality, man, let's just call a spade a spade. Drew Brees, you know, Drew Brees is an incredible quarterback, but he's not what he used to be. I think we can make an argument to say that Drew Brees is still, you know, one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever played the game. You know, and he is one of the top 3, top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. But you know, the thing about it is, you know, what gets people is the fact that Drew Brees has all these numbers, but to be honest with you, he don't really have much to show for it. I mean, you have one Super Bowl. And I know, you know, this Super Bowl that we talk about, it makes us feel superior to Falcon fans. But when you look at Drew Brees and the numbers that he put up, you have to say to yourself, like, the Saints should have had way more than just one Super Bowl. And, you know, people are looking at it like that. That's the reason why he gets snubbed off a lot of people's lists. And I do get upset when he does get snubbed off the list. But when this person that's in front of you winning multiple Super Bowls and league MVPs and stuff, you know, it's an argument that somebody can make. And a lot of people can make an argument to say that Drew Brees was, honestly, his own demise. I mean, the fact that he took a substantial amount of money, refused to take pay cuts for the Saints to go out here and get other players, you know, to make his later run to the 2010s, 2011 years. It was because they didn't have an offensive line, because Drew Brees took up the majority of the money. So a lot of people would say that's one of the reasons why, you know, the Saints didn't win multiple Super Bowls or didn't make Super Bowl appearances or didn't make it to the NFC Championship more than, you know, one time over this past decade, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to, like, honestly wonder to yourself, like, you know, how great Drew Brees could have been in the eyes of a lot of people. People consider him great, but they don't consider him as all-time great in some circles. We do, because we understand what he brings to the organization. We know what this organization was back in the day. We know how bad the Saints were back in the day. And a lot of people, they feel like it's like this, man. It's like if you had a bed, right? Back in the day, if you had a bed and this bed was lumpy and you had a bad night's sleep, and then all of a sudden you go to the Goodwill and you get another bed, and this bed isn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, this bed is much better than the bed that you had before. You're not going to be complaining about having a bad night's sleep, because you're going to be thinking in your mind, man, this bed is better than the bed I had in the past. And that's the same way we look at Drew Brees. We look at Drew Brees like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he makes mistakes, But at the same time, it's not the worst thing in the world because I remember back in the day when Bobby Abel was quarterback, or Billy Joe Hobart was quarterback, or Billy Joe Tolliver, or some of those other scrub quarterbacks the Saints had in the past. So I think that's a lot of people's problem in the Who Dat Nation, and I feel like they don't look at Drew Brees sometimes, and they don't criticize him, fairly. I think that Drew Brees is not above criticism. He's a great quarterback. But I mean, like you said, he's not the best quarterback in the NFL anymore. I mean, he's not. I mean, I have to agree with you on that. Is he one of the all-time greats? Absolutely. But he's definitely not the best anymore. And why do you think people are like that in your opinion? Why do you think that people just can't seem to see, past Drew Brees' why they can't see his imperfections, I should say?
Well, people have been clouded by his about the way he elevated the Saints. I mean, you said it best or whatever. I mean, before Drew Brees got here, you had Aaron Brooks, Bobby Bell. It was like in a catbird seat, or the damn Mount Rushmore quarterbacks for the New Orleans Saints if they have a such thing.
Right.
So it was those two, and between them, had a couple of playoff appearances and one playoff win. So in 2003, when he came after Katrina. I mean, his first year they went to the championship.
Right.
So, people was on cloud nine. And I won a Super Bowl 3 years later.
Right.
And now everybody, Drew Brees can run for governor. Next year, he can run for governor next year, 20, 30 years from now. People still vote for him.
Yep. That's true.
In the present time, the fact of the matter is he's really not the best quarterback. I said it was Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
This guy was in league MVP. This guy won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can compare the two. I'm talking about like present day times. Him, Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You Brady gonna have to take a step back.
Yep.
Rodgers. These young bucks, they taking over this mantle or whatever.
Right.
And Drew Brees, he's in the top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
But fact of the matter is, he's a 40-year-old man. He's been playing for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the tail end of his career.
Right.
He didn't peak. So that's pretty much why people see him as him elevating the city and the team has never really had serious success.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people, like a sense of being in denial, pretty much.
Yeah, look, I don't want anybody to think when they're listening to this like we just bashing Drew Brees and we don't see Drew Brees as achievement and we don't think that Drew Brees is great. I went on live a couple of days ago and I talked about how Drew Brees is, one of the all-time greats. We're going to look back, and we're going to really appreciate Drew Brees once he's not in the door and once he's not throwing the football on Sundays anymore. And I still feel that way. But, we got to be realistic about this too, man. We can't just be around here wearing Saints rose-colored glasses and can't see past other people's shortcomings, man. We got to understand, we got to critique this the right way. This isn't a blow smoke up type podcast, and I don't think anybody else should run their podcast like that. I'm not trying to say how people need to run their stuff, but I think that people owe it to, the listeners and the viewers of anything that they're doing Saints related to give an honest, objective view on the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, or whatever player, coaches. I feel that way. And realistically, folks, you got to say that he's not what he used to be. We hear about this all the time. I read different type of comments, people talking about how his arm strength diminished. And, man, look, we can't look past like some of these past playoff performances and act like they didn't exist. And we can do what everybody loves to do, talk about the offensive line. Anytime Drew Brees have a bad game, it's the offensive line fault. Oh, the offensive line ain't blocking. But it's amazing to me how the offensive line is one of the top in the league. And, we don't want to talk about that. But when Drew Brees has issues, it's the offensive line fault. Man, stop it. We need to cut that out. We have to be objective about these things. But, is he a great quarterback? Yes. Is he in the top 3? Yeah, I would say he is. I wouldn't even say in the top 5. I'd say in the top 3, but he's not the best right now. The last time, we seen Patrick Mahomes, he was hoisting a Lombardi trophy. And people can say, well, Drew has one too, but Man, that was 10 years ago. And you have these young quarterbacks that's coming in right now. These guys, like you said, he are taking the league by storm. And we can't, like, avoid this and act like this don't happen just because number 9 is still playing for the Saints. But, E, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to do a little Saints Q&A. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Now, these questions are courtesy of viewers of the State of the Saints podcast. They come from Facebook.com, and you can go to Facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast, and inbox, or you can comment and send your questions in. All right. So the first question comes from Don Matthews. He says, got a few questions, TJ. Have you looked into the undrafted free agents like Callaway? Also, what are your top 5 things the Saints must do to win the chip this year, barring injury? E, let's go ahead and start with this. Undrafted free agents. Have you looked at the undrafted free agents up for the Saints? And what do you think about them?
Let's see. As far as like the undrafted free agent.
Well, let's start with Marquise Callaway. Let's start with Marquise Callaway out of Tennessee. Now, you're familiar with the SEC. I'm pretty sure you probably heard of this young man. So what do you think about Marquise Callaway?
Marcus Callaway, speedy dude out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, if I do say so myself. I think he might have a place. You know, usually these guys, the first way you get on any team, especially if you're an undrafted free agent, is through like special teams or something like that.
Right.
But I think it's golden opportunity. They're probably going to come like during the preseason and training camps and places like that.
Right.
Dude has a lot of speed. He's 6'1", 270 pounds. Out of Georgia. Well, not wide receiver. He did play some wide receiver, but he's a cornerback.
Right.
So, Lord knows he could probably use some additional help at quarterback.
Right.
So, Patrick Robinson, and I ain't going to. I think we've talked enough about the cornerback. There's an opportunity. I think there's an opportunity for him on special teams. That's usually how you're going to make a team.
Right.
If there's no positions available, which is always positions available. But yeah, I think he can make a splash on one special team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. Marquise Callaway, I think he's a good guy. I'm looking at this list right here. Another guy that kind of stands out for me is the linebacker Roach out of Texas. This was a guy that a lot of people have high expectations about. They feel like he could possibly make the team. I mean, I watched him play a couple games at Texas. I think that he can be a disruptor for the team. I mean, also the offensive lineman out of LSU. People are making a big deal out of it. You know, me personally, I mean, I just can't get down with it, man. Like, I don't buy into like the whole LSU Saints hype. People get upset but when the Saints don't draft LSU players. Look, if they don't want to draft LSU players because they feel like another player is better than the LSU player, I have no problem with that, man. I don't feel like just because you're in the same state as a college, you need to be drafting all their players, or you have this obligation to draft a player. You know, I don't believe that. So I think that those a couple guys that signed Juwan Johnson, I think his name, out of Oregon. He's another guy, big physical guy, 6'4", about 230. I think that he can play like a Brandon Coleman type, role. But honestly, man, I think that the Saints, between wide receivers like Lil Jordan Humphreys, and we still don't know what Emmanuel Butler can do. I mean, there's so many other young wide receivers on the Saints team, and these guys are really going to have their work cut out because the Saints have a lot of young wide receivers, and with a mixture of a lot of veteran wide receivers. I think that they're going to have to really step their game up. I mean, I feel like Deontay Harris is going to take a step forward. I think that he is probably going to be the new version of Ted Ginn Jr. for the Saints. And also, like I said, I think Emmanuel Butler is going to step up. I think you're going to see more of a different Traquan Smith. I think that the pressure of not being the number 2 receiver, he can kind of just take a step back and just kind of play his own game. So, I mean, these guys have a lot of work cut out. But I look at people like Roach out of Texas, a big physical guy, get pressure on the quarterback. I think that you can honestly get a lot of you can get a lot of production out of that kid. But everybody else, I feel like they're gonna get their work cut out. They got their work cut out in order for them to make the team. That's just my honest opinion. But there's some pretty decent guys. And the next part of the question was, what are the top 5 things the Saints must do to win the chip this year, barring injury? I'll go ahead and start with this, E. The top 5 things I feel like the Saints need to do. Number 1, they don't need to give up big plays. All right, they don't need to give up big plays late in games. That is what's been killing the Saints all season long in some of these big crucial games. Them not being able to make stops where it matters most. That's number 1. Number 2, you got to run the football. Look, you got to run the football. You can't be throwing the ball. E, you said it earlier when we were talking about Drew Brees. You can't be throwing the ball 45, 50 times a game with a 41-year-old quarterback and think you're going to win somebody championship doing that. Absolutely not. So you got to be able to run the football. Number 3, they got to get a little bit more physical defensively. Sometimes I feel like they get a little soft, especially in the secondary. Guys don't want to get up and try to make no hits. I feel like somebody like Malcolm Jenkins that's going to be a leader in the secondary. I think he is going to kind of give these guys, a different type of dynamic than they're not used to. A veteran that'll go out there and lead by example. Probably won't be afraid to hit somebody, and that probably will allow those guys to, start feeding off the synergy of Malcolm Jenkins and probably get a little bit more physical, man. I feel like, they just got to get a little bit more physical because sometimes I feel like teams kind of out-physical them when it matters most. Number 4, you got to make sure that you take Drew Brees and make it less of Drew Brees. Less of Drew Brees is more for the New Orleans Saints. You don't want to ask him to do too much, with the offense. You don't want to do that, okay? And last but not least, number 5, you got to get pressure on the quarterback. Look, it can't be just Cam Jordan out there getting pressure on the quarterback. Excuse me. It got to be more than Cam Jordan. It got to be other guys, too. It got to be Marcus Davenport. It got to be Sheldon Rankins. It got to be Shad Tuttle. It got to be Mario Edwards. It got to be some of these other guys out here getting pressure on the quarterback. And the secondary really got to do their part in order for those guys to get to the quarterback in those 3 seconds. But those are the top 5 things I feel like the Saints need to do in order for them to win a championship. What about you, E?
Mine are some of the same ones, but it's a little bit more precise.
Mm-hmm.
First thing they need to do, it was the second on your list, it's the first on my list. Run the ball.
Yep.
Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. When I mean run the ball, I mean run the ball 25, 30 times a game. You run the ball 25, 30 times a game, Drew Brees don't throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. He fades back and he throw the ball more. That's most likely him most likely getting sacked as a higher number of him getting sacked.
Right.
So you run the ball, then you got a young run back in Elvin Kamara, and you got your running back, and you actually have a third string running back who's not that bad. You have to have willing running backs who want to run the ball or whatever. Second, spread the ball around. I know Michael Thomas, he catch anything. He'll catch COVID-19. It's out there and available, but it is. But a man caught 150 balls last year.
Right.
It's time to spread the ball around. So we need somebody, whether it's Harris to play more of a line. I'm glad we got Emmanuel Sanders. He does have a habit of being open.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we actually have him to take some of the burden off of Michael Thomas.
Right.
So when we have Cook, hopefully he stays healthy this year and don't get legally hit like he did that 49ers game.
Right.
So the third one will be sacks. We do need to get sacks. It's not all about Cam Jordan. And we know he's probably going to make the Pro Bowl this year, barring injury or something like that.
Right.
I think the maximum number for the Saints will be from 40 to 50 sacks this year. I think if they can get that, they can have a good year. The fourth one, and probably the most important one of all, is the Saints getting pumped. They actually played like Saints, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
Last year in that Minnesota game, and that was the last time that we seen the Saints. They got pumped.
Yep.
Right in the Superdome.
Right.
Right in the Superdome in these nice white uniforms, but they like to play in.
Right.
They got pumped. And Minnesota came here, said what they was going to do, did, and they did it, and he got punked.
Right.
And if you're going to put on that black or white jersey, you need to go out there and play. Just because you playing in the Superdome don't mean somebody's just going to roll over and let you beat them or whatever.
Right.
You got to go out and take it. The manhood, take everything. Force it right down their throat and take it from people. And you can't just on the field, we won't win. Go out there and do it. Go out there and, beat the brakes on somebody. And that's what we say. The fifth one would be, it's on squarely on this one person, Sean Payton. Is he going to go into the season and we're a Super Bowl contender and all, and do the same exact thing he's been doing for the last 2 or 3 years? Don't make no kind of changes to anything as far as like game planning. Yeah, it's good they have Taysom Hill and everything, but you have Alvin Kamara, you have 2 good running backs, you do have a tight end now. Make some changes to these play calls, go in a more, I hate to say it, but conservative type way and run this ball. This season, I think, is on Sean Payton. Well, the Saints go 8-8. A horse doesn't board a trophy at the end of the year. It's squarely on him.
Yep.
How he calls plays. If the Saints wind up in the top 10 running the ball and passing, which we know we are, they will be, I can see them win the Super Bowl. They had to be in the top 10 offensively and defensively, in my opinion. They would have to get 40 to 50 sacks, and they have to keep Drew Brees upright and not allow him to get sacked no more than maybe, I say, no more than 20 times. I think if they can do that, I think they have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl this year.
Man, that's an interesting top 5 right there. Makes a lot of sense to me, man. But I think we both can agree, some things going to have to change offensively, and that starts with running the football and taking the ball out of the hands of Drew Brees. We're going to move on, though. Willie Matoya says, who's going to be the deep threat for the Saints? In my opinion, that's going to be Deontay Harris. I think that Deontay Harris, I think the Saints showed that when Taysom Hill threw that ball to him for 55 yards. You saw him like on some jet sweeps. I remember a couple games, man, when it looked like Deontay Harris, one of the best players on the field. And honestly, man, in that Minnesota game, he played pretty well. I see that guy, he maneuvering through people. He be fighting for extra yards. He'll drop his head. He plays tough and physical. He's not afraid to go out there and perform. And I think that he has a lot of talent, man. I think this guy could be another Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, man. He has a lot of speed, and he's really raw. So I really feel like he's going to be the deep threat for the Saints. And the Saints might even try to send Emmanuel Sanders out there as a deep threat. I mean, he can get open as well, man. He still got some wheels, even though he's 33 years old. What about you, E? Who you think is going to be the deep threat?
He will be the deep threat. Harris will be the deep threat. My thing is, though, you have Smith. I think you still have Austin. You still have him. You have Emmanuel Sanders, who's not really known as a deep threat. Michael Thomas is not really known as a deep threat. I think you need a number 2 deep threat. Back when the Saints was real successful with vertical routes, close corner routes, square end routes. They had Devery Henson and they had Robert Meacham. Both of these guys were like real fast guys or whatever. So you had one running this route, and you had the other one running the other route or whatever. That's 2 speedy receivers. I think for them to really get vertical with a team, I mean, they gonna really have to. One player I wish the Saints would have got back when he was available to be drafted was Deebo Samuels. I see him with the 49ers like every time I see him, like, man, I wish the Saints could have drafted him. And they did. So it is what it is. But, man, that dude, he's a physical receiver. He's a speedy receiver. But I think that's what they're missing. I mean, Harris, he kind of vertically challenged when it comes to height. So he would have to outrun a lot of people. He goes like 5'7" or something like that. I know he's pretty short. So when you want to get you a speedy receiver, somebody at least about a good 6'1", somebody that can get out there and beat people pretty much. So Emmanuel Sanders, I think he's going to have to fit that bill. Unless somebody, one of these free agents, draft free agents they have, like this dude Marquez Callaway. I mean, I'm looking at him, 6'2", 204.
Right.
Maybe he's one of those people that could get downfield in a hurry. But they're going to need at least two.
Yeah.
I mean, this Saints team is not like the team from '09 and 10 and 11 and 4 or 5 receivers. It's not like that. 2 receivers, a tight end, and Alvin Kamara. And that's what they're giving right there.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, this year right here, you know, they're going to need all hands on deck, and they're going to have to change the way that they play offense. Can't be so predictable like, you know, in the past. This next question comes from Eric West, and it says, TJ, is signing AK-41 a pressing issue for the Saints right now, or could you imagine Leonard Fournette becoming a Saint next year? Well, you know, that Leonard Fournette, the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't pick up his 5th-year option, which wasn't a surprise to me. Look, I would not give up Alvin Kamara for Leonard Fournette. Look, I mean, I like Leonard Fournette, but I don't like Leonard Fournette's passion for the NFL. I feel like there are some players that want to be great, and then there's some players that are just glad that they made it. And Leonard Fournette, in my opinion, is a guy that's just glad that he made it. You know, I don't see greatness when I see Leonard Fournette. I don't see a guy that wants to be great, a guy that wants to have a gold jacket one day, a guy that wants to be remembered as one of the greatest running backs in the NFL. And he, you know, I have to say, man, I'm very disappointed in Leonard Fournette. I feel like a guy with his talent and his ability, he should be well further along than he is in the NFL. And, you know, people, you know, got mad at me and say, man, I must don't watch Leonard Fournette. Yes, I do. I watch Leonard Fournette play, and he has, like, this whole Randy Moss type mentality. Like, I play when I want to play. I see some games where he can, you know, seem like he the best running back on the field, and then he got other plays where I feel like he phoned it in. And, you know, I would not want him to be the running back for the Saints. I wouldn't sign him. I wouldn't give him a long-term deal. I definitely wouldn't pay him among some of the best running backs in the NFL because, in my opinion, he doesn't deserve it. I mean, that's just my honest assessment on Leonard Fournette. E, what do you think about Leonard Fournette, and could you see him with the Saints?
Oh, I like Leonard Fournette. I like the way he does run. Thing about it is, I can't see him with the Saints. If you don't sign Alvin Kamara to a new deal and you decline this 5th-year here, and you do go sign on Leonard Fournette, what good would that do? You still going to wind up having to pick Leonard Fournette for money. That's the same reason he left Jacksonville because they didn't sign his contract. All you be doing is swapping running back.
Right.
You'll still have to fork out $30, $40 million for about 3 or 4 years for a running back, pretty much. So I don't feel a need for it. Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara are 2 different running backs.
Right.
Alvin Kamara is more like a Roger Craig type, Marshall Faulk type running back. Leonard Fournette is more like an Earl Campbell, Adrian Peterson like running back.
Right.
Leonard Fournette, he's a body running back. What that means pretty much is the more you get on the ball, the stronger he gets, the longer runs get. So the runs go from 3-5 yards. Then in the third or fourth quarter, they go from like 3-5 yards, 20 yards, 40 yards, or something like that.
Right.
Alvin Kamara, he's good out the backfield. You can give him the ball, and he's strong enough to run between the tackles. And he's good enough. He's like another wide receiver. He's outrunning routes.
Yep.
So you can't fit. I don't believe so. I don't think you can fit Leonard Fournette in a system with somebody like the Saints or the Chiefs, or Leonard Fournette fits with the Ravens. That's the team that he fits with.
Right.
In my opinion, that's the team that just broke the record for the most rushing yards in the season. That's the team that he fits with. Can you imagine Leonard Fournette, Lamar Jackson, and Mark Ingram in the backfield? That is sick.
Yeah.
But somebody with the Saints? Nah, I mean, I can't imagine. I can't see that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think that Alvin Kamara contract issue is a pressing issue because I think what the Saints did in this year's NFL draft told you they're going to try to pay some of these 2017 standouts. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, I don't think I ever seen an NFL draft where a team just got 4 players about that thing. Would have been 3. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and we're content with that. You know, the Saints understand what they have, and they understand that some of the players that they picked in the 2017 draft were players that are going to demand a lot of money. So, and this draft right here kind of showed you that that's what they, were trying to focus on. And honestly, the 2021 draft is going to be the same way, in my opinion. I think it's going to be, the same way. I think the 2021 draft is going to be like a 2017 draft. They're going to try to approach it that way because now you have guys that are on the payroll and the checkbook is a little bit limited. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to like really have a good draft in 2021. But they're definitely going to pay Alvin Kamara, in my opinion. You don't let somebody like Alvin Kamara go. And I get it. People upset the way that he played last season and stuff. But, man, the dude been in the league 3 years. Dude played really good his rookie season. He was offensive rookie of the year. Second season, he played really well. Third season, everybody complained about him. They won't kick him out of the door. That, my friends, is a classic example of a Saints fan. They love you from play to play. That's what it is. They love you on first down, hate you on second down, love you on third down, hate you on fourth down. That's just, that is a true Saints fan for you. We gonna do one more E and we're gonna get up out of here, man. This comes from my guy Simba. My guy Simba, what's going on, man? He says, could you see a future where both Winston and Teddy both have a place in the offense and extend this offense past just this year? Simba, man, shouts out to you once again. No, I don't, man. I don't see Teddy Bridgewater and Jameis Winston being on the same team. I don't see that. I think both guys have starting quarterback qualities. We're going to see what Teddy got in Carolina, man. We rooting for him. Regardless if you hate Carolina or not, man, you got to respect Teddy Bridgewater, what he did for the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that made Saints fans love him. I mean, I remember this guy, like, in preseason, they were like, man, this guy sucks. Get this guy up out of here. And then when Drew went down, he won those 5 games, and everybody in the whole Superdome was chanting his name. This is a guy right here that earned the respect of not only the NFL, but Saints fans all over this country. So I'm rooting for him. But I don't see no way him and Jameis Winston being on the same team. What do you think, E?
Nah, I mean, I don't see the need for it. They around the same age.
Yeah.
I mean, Bridgewater, man, shoot, Lord knows. And this dude came back from a horrific injury.
Yeah.
So, that dude, he's like somebody you can see yourself hanging out with or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
This guy don't have a car. This guy used to bike to work.
Yep.
He used to bike to the Superdome for football games.
Right.
You can see this man, him and Elkin Murray, can see them around town on Bourbon Street or somewhere, eating beignets down here or something like that. That's
right.
how personable the dude was.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, dude always been slept on. He slept on. He was with Louisville, and all he did was beat I think Florida was 4th in the nation when he beat them in the Superdome for the Sugar Bowl one year.
Right.
Then he go to Minnesota. He slept on there.
Yep.
I mean, he went there, got to the playoffs. So it was that injury that kind of cut his career short or whatever. Before his like playing career up until that point.
Right.
The guy kind of almost had to reset his career to get back to the way he's supposed to be or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be cheering for him for the rest of his career.
Yep.
The thing about it is, I mean, he's in the NFC South. So 2 games, I'm gonna not cheer for the guy. But hopefully he loses.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
him and Jameis Winston playing on the same team, and I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either, man. But like you said, Teddy Bridgewater was extremely personable. I remember my homeboy, man, shouts out to my boy Curtis Jones. Him and his friends was like doing like a little pickup game. And all of a sudden, on a bike, rolls up Teddy Bridgewater in the middle of the road to the 8th ward. And just it was out there throwing the football around, man. And just randomly, man, like he just an average Joe Blow, man. That's just the type of person that Teddy Bridgewater is. And like you say, man, I'm rooting for him for the exception of 2 games out of the year. And I don't see him and Jameis Winston playing on the same team. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, thank you very much for your questions you submitted. Please submit your questions. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. You can inbox or you can comment below a video or a status, sending your questions, or you can email at stateofthesaints@gmail.com. Thank you very much for your time. E, thank you so much for, being a part of the show once again, and I'll let you let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can get in touch with me at Emmanuel Jones Senior at Facebook. That's my full name. I don't have my sports page set up yet, but I'm really thinking about jumping into it on a more of a steady basis.
Yeah,
and have my brother learn from the radio connoisseur and radio genius, pretty much. So I had to get my you might start hearing more about Pick Six in the near future. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. We're looking forward to that. And I'm not a genius, man. I tell people all the time, I owe a lot to you. As far as growing up, I mean. Yeah, I just used to watch you read magazines, and we used to quiz each other about players and what college they went to pass time as we walked home. They take that 25, 30-minute commute walking home. We used to quiz each other on football players, man. And for that, man, just came passion, man, and love for sports and a love for broadcasting, man. I mean, you used to sit down on that floor and listen, and Grandmama then too, listening to Jim Henderson, because those Saints games were blacked out. And so I owe a lot to you, and I think you're one of the main reasons why I love sports so much. Jim Henderson, the main reason I love broadcasting, though. What nothing funnier than Jim Henderson on a call when the Saints just do something that's just mind-boggling. I mean, it was just classic shtick. Jim Henderson is the man. But man, thank you so much, E. Thank you so much for your time. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Much love to everybody out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay home if you don't have to go out, all right? Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?